First at 4, 2 people are found shot across the street from a playground and a daycare facility. We are live with what people in the area are saying about this crime.
A suspicious death under investigation in Gwinnett County. I'm Joe Ripley. What we're learning about the woman found dead inside and who else lived inside the home.
Sunny and pleasant right now, but I'm tracking the next cold front that will bring a chance of showers to our area. We'll time it out.
Off 85 northbound at Pleasant Hill Road, but need I say more? At 4 o'clock, the damage is done.
11 Alive News at 4 p.m. starts now.
And good afternoon and welcome to 11 Alive News at 4. I'm Jonathan Martin.
And I'm Faith Jesse.
And first here at 4 o'clock, we have some new details coming into our newsroom. We know a police investigation is underway after a deadly shooting in southwest Atlanta right across the street from a preschool. 11 Alive's Teresa Bowles live at the scene on Brevard Avenue and Old Hapeville Road. Teresa.
Guys, let me show you that home where 2 people were found dead around 10 this morning. It's this brick house right next door. I've been out here all afternoon talking to neighbors, trying to understand what led up to this. An emotional family breaking down as they too wait for answers. Atlanta police say the man and woman were in a relationship and there was some type of argument between them that escalated to gunfire, but they haven't said who shot whom. As we said earlier, Miss Nisi's Learning Center preschool is just across the street from here. A representative says all of the children are safe and okay. A neighbor told me off camera that he's the one that found the couple inside the home and called 911 after hearing gunshots. Another neighbor who lives 2 houses down explained why she was shocked by the shooting.
Didn't hear any gunshots, and usually I'm attuned to the sound of the popping because young people have done it in other parts of this area here, but no gun popping, none whatsoever.
The scene is clear now. That family was allowed to go back inside of the home and will continue to ask questions as things unfold.
Teresa, thank you so much for that update. Right now, we are working to learn more details about an investigation surrounding the death of a Gwinnett County woman. Police have spent hours at the scene in unincorporated Stone Mountain. That's where we find our Joe Ripley live for us today. Joe, you were the first reporter on the scene. We first saw you here at noon. What are police saying right now about this investigation?
All right, and things have changed since we last saw you at noon, Faith, because you can see we've gotten a little closer here to the scene, this home where this woman was found dead earlier this morning by Gwinnett County Police. The crime scene tape has been lifted, but right now police are trying to determine if this warrants a criminal investigation. Earlier we saw crime scene investigators as well as homicide units with the Gwinnett County Police trying to comb this house for clues. Gwinnett Police, fire, first responders first got here around 4 this morning after police say someone dialed 911 for a medical call. Officers found this woman in her mid-40s dead inside this house. Police would not describe any of her injuries, but they also discovered a small child who they say lived here at the home.
A small child, a baby between 1 and 2 years old, resided here at the home. It's unclear who the parents were, but we have contacted the Department of Family and Children's Services to take custody of that child so they can determine a temporary placement or even a final placement.
Police say they have been called out to this neighborhood before, but nothing that rose to the alert or the high expectations of a homicide or any criminal activity. So far, there are no suspects, no people of interest in this case, but as this develops, that could change. So stay with 11 Alive on air and on 11alive.com as we learn more information.
Joe, great hustle out there. Thank you so much for bringing us that information. For the latest updates on the big stories of the day, you can stay connected through the 11 Alive News app. Getting it is as easy as scanning that QR code you see right there on your screen to get it for free.
All right, let's get a check of our weather this afternoon. Right now, it's turned into a pretty gorgeous Wednesday after we had a little chill this morning, but we're tracking the return of some showers to end the week. Let's bring in meteorologist Melissa Nord. Melissa, what's the timeline for this rain looking like?
Well, Jonathan, the front that's going to bring those showers is still hundreds of miles away. So the timeline holds off until we get after sunset tomorrow evening. This evening, the sunshine will continue, leading into a clear and cool evening ahead. Looking live right now at the airport. Newport, it is 70 degrees. It's been a beautiful day. Southeast winds bumping those temperatures up warmer than yesterday. 69 Duluth, 70 in Peachtree City, currently 67 in Clayton. So this evening, really nice. Sunset time this evening, by the way, 7:01. Last 7 o'clock sunset until next spring. We'll cool off to the 50s by 9 o'clock. We'll look ahead to those rain chances hour by hour coming up. Crash.
All right, Melissa, not a good start for my Gwinnetians, just shy of a red alert. The only good news is they moved the wreck off to the right. The bad news is 2 trucks met each other along 85 northbound right at Pleasant Hill Road, sat out there forever and a day. You're slammed all the way back to Spaghetti Junction. Last check, 50 minutes from 285 to Pleasant Hill. Get to Buford Highway, Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, or even Highway 29. This one's going to take a while to clean up. And trouble on the west wall, 285 southbound before Highway 166. That jams you back to I-20. Faith?
All right, Crash, thank you so much. Well, right now, the FBI needs your help finding a man wanted in armored truck robberies. Take a good look at the picture on your screen. According to the FBI, DeMarco Johnson is wanted for his alleged participation in the robbery of an armored truck in Tucker. This took place back in February, as well as the robbery of an armored truck in Snellville that took place in March. A $5,000 reward now being offered for information leading to Johnson's arrest. Anyone with information is asked to call the FBI in Atlanta. Well, we are staying on top of a developing story in Cobb County where a large fire at a Marietta apartment complex displaced more than 20 families.
That's right. Our Paula Ciro is joining us live from the Franklin at East Cobb Apartments with what she's learned this afternoon. Paula?
Yeah, guys, you know, a lot of families lost everything here today, but the important part is that nobody was hurt. So I'll step out of the way so that you can see this building here behind me. It holds 20 units. You can see 10 of those apartments were destroyed. But if you take a look, there is a wall dividing this building in half. That is a firewall. And the Marietta fire captain tells me it's thanks to that firewall that there are 10 other apartment units towards the left of the building that were saved. Residents of all 20 units are displaced, including Shantrice Adams, who says she lost everything in the blink of an eye.
I lost all of my work, my computer, my printer, important documents, family heirlooms. I lost my life. Everything that I've worked hard for, it's gone. It's less than 10, 15 minutes.
Shantrice Adams, who was too distraught to go on camera, says she started hearing popping noises in her patio last night. Those noises, she says, were getting louder this morning, just moments before a fire engulfed her Franklin at East Cobb apartment. As she hopped in the shower around 11:30 this morning, her friend Amarla Welch realized what was going on.
Something popped real loud, and the next thing I know, I just seen something red go shoot across there. So I went to the patio and I looked in the corner, and there was fire there. Then I ran out and I told him fire. So we running around the house looking under the sinks for the fire extinguishers, and she didn't have one. So all we worried about was getting the kids out and getting out.
They grabbed Adams's 2 grandkids and knocked on their neighbors' doors and ran out.
So we ran out with whatever we had on.
Marietta Fire Captain Steve Dowell says it's thanks to the quick action of residents and multiple Marietta and Cobb County fire crews that nobody was hurt.
We were very fortunate to have BLW in the area who noted the smoke coming from the apartment complex. They got in here very quickly. Were able to cut the power to the entire building almost as soon as fire units were arriving on scene.
Now, Dow says a total of 22 families are displaced tonight. The Red Cross has been on scene all morning helping those families. Adams living on that right-hand side of the firewall. She's not sure where she'll go next. As for the fire, the investigation there's an investigation as to what caused that fire. In Cobb County, Paula Lucero, 11 Alive News.
Well, coming up, support for Jim Jordan to become House Speaker is waning as day 2 of voting continues. We're live in Washington with what's next in this process.
Also, President Biden is now heading back home after his historic visit to Israel. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4.
And we've got 2 right lanes blocked, 285 southbound at Langford Parkway. Those west side woes are only getting worse. We're back in moments.
Will Jim Jordan become the next Speaker of the House? That is the question hanging over Congress as the second day of voting for this position grinds on. We want to head out to Washington right now, where NBC's Alice Barr is live for us on Capitol Hill with where we stand tonight. Alice, thanks so much for joining us. Well, today we saw a second round of voting. Jim Jordan lost the support of 4 Republicans that voted for him in the first round. He did gain the support of 2 members, but overall, today we saw that he had even less support, with 22 Republicans in total not voting for him. That's up from 20 from the first round. So right now, it's really shaky to see, is he having any progress here? Is there any talk of strategy in play to gain more support for Jordan or potentially shift focus to another potential speaker?
Well, right now, Congressman Jordan says he is not backing down. He is talking to members, and he says that's the plan. As you noted, there was kind of some shifting around. He lost some. He says, yeah, but I gained some more, too. He said he's just going to keep talking to members, and at this point, he's definitely not standing down, stepping aside. He noted that he's in the same position that former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was after his second failed round of voting. It took 15 for him ultimately to win the Speaker's gavel. Not clear yet whether the Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is willing to go that far, but for this point, they're just going to keep working the room, working the phones, and trying to bring more people back over to his side.
And as we know, it took 15 rounds for Kevin McCarthy back in January, so we're just on round 2 now. We are coming up on day 15, however, without a speaker. We spoke briefly about this yesterday, but what are you hearing now in terms of possibly granting Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry more authority to get some of this legislation passed, especially when we talk about this pending funding going over to the Middle East?
That's right. So we're starting to hear more and more about that. And now some House Democrats, leadership among the House Democrats, beginning to talk about that as something they would genuinely consider, empowering essentially that temporary Speaker, Patrick McHenry, to be able to really take action. Right now, he's just a figurehead. You need an elected speaker in order to appropriate money. You keep hearing that term. And that has to happen in order to send more money to Israel. We heard today from President Biden. He wants to send an unprecedented support package for Israel's defense. There's also money for Ukraine that's still out there that supporters are looking for. And then there's that looming government shutdown deadline next month. So there's been talk of potentially a 30-day extension for McHenry that would get past the government shutdown deadline. And that's starting to look a little bit more popular, as we're just not quite clear where these rounds of voting are headed, Faith.
And this is a question that, if you know it, you might be able to give me the lottery numbers. Are we expecting another vote tonight in Congress?
We are not. We have just been told that it's likely not going to be until tomorrow. And at least one Republican member is talking about the idea of taking a retreat, maybe to Gettysburg, somewhere far outside of the city, with just House Republicans to get together and get on the same page and figure out what they are going to do in order to get the House of Representatives in working order again, with a lot of important business on the line, Faith.
All right, well, we are going to stand by, and we might have a lot more rounds to come. Alice Barr in Washington, thank you so much.
All right, well, just hours ago, President Biden vowed to show the world that the United States is standing in solidarity with Israel as that nation's war against Hamas is grinding on. 11 Alive's Ron Jones is here with the latest on his visit.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. So during that short historic visit to the war-torn country of Israel, President Joe Biden called Hamas terror attack pure, unadulterated evil. He met with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and members of his government as it prepares a fresh act against Hamas. Mr. Biden also used the trip to announce $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance in Gaza and the Israeli-occupied West Bank, which he says can support displaced people and emergency needs in the Palestinian enclave.
Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses innocent families in Gaza as human shields, putting their command centers, their weapons, their communications tunnels in residential areas. Palestinian people are suffering greatly as well.
So here's some other headlines we're following today in the Israel-Hamas war. The American Red Cross says it has mobilized a convoy carrying 60 tons of aid, including medical supplies, to go into Gaza, but it needs safe access to deliver them as well. Egypt's president is now declaring 3 days of national mourning for those killed in that blast at the hospital in Gaza, and Pope Francis is going to hold a day of fasting and praying on October 27th. He is now begging all sides to do whatever is possible to prevent the war from spreading across that region and avoid what he is calling a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza.
4:16, your time right now, looking live from our City of Decatur camera out towards Atlanta. In a couple of hours, we're going to have a pretty sunset there, but today is actually our last 7 o'clock sunset until spring. So I want to talk about that because although we get the cooler temperatures in the fall, and that is lovely, a downside of the fall, of course, in many people's opinions, is that time change. So 7:01 sunset tonight, end of the month for Halloween itself is 6:46 for trick-or-treating. And then just 1 week later, we fall back and that sunset is before 6 o'clock. So we'll see a nice sunset this evening, but overnight tonight, another cool and chilly one. We'll start off tomorrow morning in the upper 40s to right around 50. But although we see plenty of sunshine out there today and clear skies tonight, that pattern is going to be changing, and that's because our next front is going to be swinging into North Georgia at the end of the week. Now, as opposed to last week when we saw a lot more rain, this week we don't think there's going to be a whole lot of rain along with this front coming through, and it'll clear out pretty quickly. So you notice here, as we look at tomorrow, we're still dry in Atlanta. Clouds will be increasing throughout the day, but it's Friday morning when showers move through the area. As that cold front moves out, sunshine returns pretty quickly, and it is going to be sunny throughout the weekend and dry. A little bit breezy this weekend, but I do think it's going to be dry, pretty nice fall-like weather. If you got to go to the pumpkin patches, the corn mazes, some of those leaves, though, might be blowing off the trees with some gusty winds. All right, how much rain are we looking at? Unfortunately, not a widespread soaking rain. It's a couple of tenths of an inch of rain for some of us. Others of us may not pick up much more than a trace of rain. So I don't think the rain will be widespread. I also do not think that we will see very heavy rainfall totals across the area. Low temps tonight, clear sky overhead will be in the upper 40s. Tomorrow we start with sunshine, but quickly clouds will start to move in after sunrise, and by noon we're partly cloudy, and then we turn mostly cloudy by the finish of the day. We're going to stay dry throughout the daytime hours, but I do think as we head into Thursday evening, there could be a stray sprinkle here or there. Better rain chance coming in after midnight. You notice here on the forecast track in the wee hours of Friday morning, 3, 4, 5 a.m., some showers moving through, but as quickly as they arrive, they're moving out of here. We have sunshine back in here for Friday afternoon, and that will stick around for the weekend. Here's your 7-day forecast. Behind this front, there's not a big drop off in temperatures. In fact, we see the temp go up to 73 on Saturday, Sunday 71, double-digit wazometer numbers, so looks really nice for your fall activities.
All right, certainly does. Melissa, thank you. The state of Georgia is now expanding its rollout of digital IDs. Our Jennifer Bellamy here with a look at some of the stories coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, Jonathan, some folks excited for this one. Georgia's digital ID and driver's license feature is now available for Android users. And tonight we are breaking down how you can add your Georgia's driver's license or maybe your ID to your Google Wallet. Also, a medical sterilization plant accused of polluting the air has agreed to settle several lawsuits it's facing here in Metro Atlanta. Why this isn't a done deal just yet. Plus, we have been talking about high inflation for more than a year, but now it's having an impact on your finances for years to come. Tonight, we're breaking down some of the hidden long-term costs of high inflation. That's all coming up when we see you tonight at 5.
All right, let's talk about this. Talk about being caught in the act. If you ever ordered from Grubhub or Uber Eats, you might have wondered, would this happen to me? Well, a Grubhub delivery driver in California got caught eating someone else's food. Take a look at this. A security camera outside a restaurant in Long Beach captured the driver digging into a customer's dinner just seconds after it was picked up. At one point, the driver even uses his teeth to rip open that bag. He grabs his own fork from the back. He starts chowing down on some noodles. Look at that. The restaurant owner comes out to confront him, and he says, "Sir, this is just my lunch." Grubhub says that they have fired this driver. How do y'all feel about this one?
You know, I'm sure it happens more often than we think, but that's why a lot of the restaurants now have the seal. So look, if that seal is broken, what's going on?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a risk you take.
Yeah.
If I were a driver and I were to do that, it would be French fries, though. I wouldn't take my fork into the noodles. It'd be one French fry.
That's true, just like,
I get my own food.
But this is not anything new.
Yeah.
Remember back in the old days, the pizza delivery guy grabs a slice, throws it back in? I mean, I don't do DoorDash or Grubhub or anything like that because for that reason.
I do it a lot,
Really?
and it has never happened to me.
Okay.
And I love my drivers, so shout out to y'all.
All right, there you go.
All right, here's what's still to come.
All right, a popular actor and comedian Kevin Hart is about to set up shop here in Atlanta. We have all the details coming up.
Also, more trouble surrounding the Fulton County Jail as the family of an inmate who was stabbed to death says officials need to be held accountable. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4. All right, well, here's more proof that Atlanta is becoming the Hollywood of the South, if it isn't already. Comedian and actor Kevin Hart's media company is planning to expand with an office in Midtown. Our partners at the Atlanta Business Chronicle are reporting Hart Media, his company, will take about 11,000 square feet of an office space at T3 West Midtown. So that's right by Atlantic Station. It's not clear if Heartbeat will be housing a specific division here in Atlanta or what the exact functions of the office would be. The plan showed the space could hold about 180 people and has executive offices, collaboration areas, as well as a podcast studio. Also, Hollywood stars Tyler Perry and George Clooney met with SAG-AFTRA leaders to find a way forward to help end the strike. Now, the meeting is coming after negotiations to end the actors' strike were suspended, you might remember, just last week. Officials say the gap between the studios and the actors is right now just too great. SAG-AFTRA actors have been on strike since July 14th. And it's good to see some of those big names at least stepping up to put their name in the hat and really help out.
Absolutely. And I mean, they call Atlanta the Hollywood of the South, and it's just growing and expanding, bringing jobs and entertainment here. We just love to see it.
We do. Here is Crash.
All right, unfortunately, we are still dealing with major delays down that west side perimeter. Those cars coming at you very slowly, all in a bunch back from South Cobb Drive to the wreck blocking 2 right lanes, 285 southbound at 166. Not a pretty picture, Melissa.
And you saw the sunshine on the roads there. Sunshine outside is plentiful on your Wednesday, but that does not stick around. Tracking more clouds and showers by the end of the week. We'll time it out at 4:30.